everybody, and welcome to Spiritually Speaking with Lori Albert. My name is Lori Albert, and I am a medium and intuitive. Spiritually Speaking is an interactive, intuitive, feel-good show that embraces all things spiritual. Each week we discuss a different life or spiritual topic. I have guests on occasionally, and I invite viewers to call in on the spirit line for you to be part of the conversation, or if you'd like to receive a short reading. So, welcome to the show. I'm super excited. I believe I am up and running like so good this time. I'm like upgrading my systems here. And I'm super excited. So, and I believe that the chat is up and running. How exciting is that? So, I'm very excited. So, welcome to the show. And I wanted to start out today, and I'm going to start doing this every week because I want you guys, because I feel like, okay, so you guys know me pretty well by this point. So, my thought is that if I sage every day every time at the beginning of the show, then we're all going to be cleansed. Isn't that great? I love that. I love, love, love that. So what I'm going to do is I am taking my, what did I say this was? Lavender and white sage. You can use any kind of sage you want, really. You can use any kind of sage, but I prefer this because it smells really, really yummy. So here we go. We have, hold on one sec. Let me double check everything's good here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say the prayer, and you guys will learn it eventually, right? Okay, so I break up and release all stagnant and negative energy from this place. May peace, light, and divine love protect us and be ever present. So now that we've cleansed ourselves and we've cleansed the show, we've cleansed the computer. That's always a fun one, right? We have to cleanse the computer. We are good to go. So, and I've got all my candles lit, so like it's all good. And hello to Kathy. Thank you for joining me. I'm super excited that I finally have ability to really interact, because that was my goal from the beginning, right? To be completely interactive. So hi, Mary Beth. Thank you for joining me. I'm super excited. Okay, so the chat question for this week, and I will try to repeat it a couple times so that you guys can really get into this. The theme of the show, or the topic for the show tonight, is forgiveness. And boy, what a day to have that be on the thing. Hi, Dwayne. Nice to see you. Or actually, I don't see you. Oh, I wish I could see you guys. Maybe I'll figure a way out to do that. Anyway, so today's theme is about forgiveness. And like I was saying, what a day to have that be the topic. So you'll understand that why in a few minutes. But okay, so the question of the day that I want you guys to answer on the chat, if you can, is, here you go. All right, let me finish it before you start typing. Name a person or situation, because you can be, that you either need to forgive or already do forgive. So that could be, you can forgive your computer. You can forgive your daughter or son, right? You can forgive anybody. You don't need to get into the specifics of what you're forgiving, okay? Because I don't want to get into that, okay, on the chat, right? But what I do want us to do is I want us to just release it. I want the chat to be able to release us. Hi, April. Thanks for joining. So I'm going to go first. I'm not going to type it in, but I'm going to go first. I have a couple of things. So at first, what I first want to forgive is I forgive the computer program, not Facebook. I forgive the computer program that I was working with that won't allow me, or that makes viewing all the chats difficult. So that is my forgiveness. And then I also, I really want to say this because, and this is like kind of intimate, but you know what? This is my life. And I've always told you guys I'm bringing my life to the show, right? So I forgive myself for a few things that I did in childhood that I still think about today that were wrong. Now, it's me, and I have to forgive myself on a couple levels. I forgive myself because of the things that I did, right? Because we all do stupid things as kids, obviously. But I forgive myself also too for bringing it back up into my psyche, right? I keep bringing it back up, I mean, it's crazy. So I forgive myself for all of that. So, all right. So I'm going to read the very timely astrological forecast for the day. Hi, Melinda. Hi, Eric. Hi, Rebecca. And hi, April again. Oh, I just gave you the chills. How cool is that? Because forgiveness is huge. Forgiveness of ourselves is huge, but I'm going to get into that in a minute. Okay, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to read our astrological forecast for the week, and then I have the most amazing, and I know I say this every week, but the most amazing meditation planned. Oh my gosh, you guys, wow, I'm just super excited. Spirit was with me all day today because of this. It was really pretty amazing. So hi Gina, thanks for joining. Okay, so I want to read to you Christopher Renstrom, rulingplanets.com. His astrological forecast for the week is pretty darn amazing. And again, timely. This week, Venus will form a grand trine with Jupiter and Neptune. A grand trine is when three planets in different signs, but signs that all still share the same element, so like earth or water, that sort of thing, create a triangle in the sky. A grand trine often brings good fortune and protection. That's always a good thing too, right? Since the grand trine will be taking place in the water signs of Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, you can expect a bubbling forth of sympathy, compassion, and love. Yay, right? Okay, so water energy cools tempers, quenches thirst, and restores good feeling. The best way to think of a grand trine is at a watering hole where wild animals gather to drink. Out in the field, they're divided into camps of predator and prey, but at the watering hole, they put aside their differences and get along, right? It's not quite the peaceable kingdom where the lion lies beside the lamb, but it's the next best thing. So I just thought that was really great. Christopher is like so plugged in. He's always spot on. So this week, let's have some compassion and some love. So that's really good. I'm glad you always say you forgive you, because you know what, Kathy? So that's really so important, because we need to forgive ourselves. That's how we gain the peace, I think. So at any rate, okay, so I had an epiphany because I want to open up the phone lines. I will open up the phone lines after I do the meditation, because you guys, it's so cool. But anyway, so Mary Beth says she forgives herself for holding the grudges against people in her past who hurt her, and when they opted out of the friendship. Ooh, wow. That's huge. That is so huge and so poignant. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. I love you guys. You guys are sharing like real stuff, not just like, oh, I forgive my mother for spanking me or whatever. You guys, and that's a thing. I don't mean to discount that, but wow, that's great. Thank you guys for digging in. I just dig that. So, okay. So anyway, I had an epiphany this week. Okay. This epiphany is about meditation. I'm always talking to you about how important meditation is, and like a broken record. I get that. However, and again, bringing my life to the show, right? I am in Weight Watchers, okay? And Oprah is part of Weight Watchers, right? So she's like has an ownership stake and all that kind of stuff. So I'm sure she started to input this, right? So Oprah, and I don't know that this was Oprah's doing, but I can only imagine. Our leader, her name is Shelly. She's fantastic, right? She did this thing today. Last week, she introduced meditation without calling it meditation, right? And what she said was, if you just sit by yourself and reframe your thoughts for like 2 minutes, then that can really help with, food cravings, blah, blah, blah. So she was making it about food. But I was thinking to myself, I had this huge epiphany sitting in that meeting there, because you know what? That's all you really need. If you can sit and have that 2 minutes of quiet time, that's huge, right? So if you're meditatively, it's a Lori word. If you're a meditation challenge, let's say it that way, start with 2 minutes and see what happens. Oh my God, that is so fantastic. So I was really excited about that. So April says she forgave herself for being mean to others because she was hurting so much inside. Oh my God, another huge one. That's really, really huge. Really huge. Thank you for sharing that, April. I appreciate it. Okay, so we're going to start the meditation. And yeah, I hope you guys like it. And if it gets too intense, that's absolutely fine. Sometimes meditations do. You can always, if you feel like you want to come back to it later, come back to it. You know, star the show, or mark the YouTube on YouTube. You can mark it so that you can come back to this particular one. But it's really quite powerful. Okay, so what we're going to do is, okay, so I want you all to put your either feet flat on the ground or cross-legged, okay, with your palms up. And I want you to start relaxing. Start relaxing your body from your head to your neck, your arms, your abdomen, and your legs, all the way down to your feet. Let's relax. Relax our body as much as we can. Let the stress of the day just roll off. Then I want you to relax your mind as well. Forgive yourself. Forgive your mind. If thoughts come in, that's okay. Just swat away the extra thoughts. I want us to place our attention on our crown chakra, which is right above the top of our heads. And I want you to imagine that lotus flower just above our heads. And I want you to imagine that lotus flower opening up ever so gently, but totally fully. And I want you to allow the universe, God's energy, to come into your body through your crown chakra. Opening up, allowing the beautiful white light energy to come down and gently blend with your whole body, starting at your head down to your toes. And so let's now create with our body that wonderful feeling of love. Imagine things or people that you love. Your husband or wife, your children, parents, siblings, your pets. Or maybe that certain song that brings you that feeling of love. Or a vacation spot. Or maybe your boat. Or the beach. Or maybe your favorite glass of wine, or a book that you just love and you read over and over. Imagine that feeling of just love for all of those things that just make you who you are. So in your mind, create that feeling of love and have that feeling of love spread throughout your entire body. And now let's transfer those feelings of love emotions to someone or a situation where you feel like you have been wronged. Or if that's too much to consider at this time, just start with a general forgiveness for yourself and to the world. That's a beautiful place to start. So someone that you feel has wronged you, send that person or that thing love. Or if you want it to, consider having a general forgiveness for yourself and to the world. Who can you forgive in your life? Maybe your first love, or your parents, or a friend, or even the car that stalled or broke down recently, or your computer that went to blue screen. Any situation or person where you feel let down or where you've been done wrong, or quite possibly yourself, if that's where you feel like you need to place your attention, then let's send ourselves love as we forgive ourselves. Now let's overlay love onto all those people, including ourselves, all the situations. Let's consider all of that and send it all love. Now to yourself, you can say the following: I forgive you. I love you. You are saying this to yourself, to others, and to the world. It's okay if you start to cry during this exercise, or if you get emotional. Don't resist. It's all perfect. Even just consider the idea of or forgiveness to yourself, to others in the world. It's a very big thing to do. Just allow yourself to be whatever emotion you need to be. Now, as we say this to ourselves, let's sit quietly while we overlay love into all the situations in our lives, good and not so good. And as you consider those, say quietly to yourself, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now you can open your eyes whenever you're ready, whenever you feel comfortable. Let yourself back bring yourself back into your body. Oh, Loretta, thanks for joining. Loretta and Catherine, I appreciate you guys joining me tonight. Thank you. So yeah, so how do you feel? I felt when I was meditating and receiving that meditation, it hits you in a certain spot, right? I took that meditation. It was interesting because meditation can be beautiful. It can be intense. It can be whatever it needs to be. And that's why I was saying, allow yourself to experience whatever emotion you're feeling at that point, right? And I used part of the Hawaiian Ho'oponopono prayer that I just love. I mean, that is the Ho'oponopono prayer is actually my that's my go-to, basically. I guess you could say that's my go-to prayer. And the way that one goes is that I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. So that's my go-to mantra whenever I feel myself, when I'm meditating and I feel myself like all of those crappy things coming in through my brain, I start to think, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And I'll just say that over and over again, and that helps me quiet my mind. So at any rate, that was very exciting. That was really, really cool. Okay, so I have so much to talk to you guys about. Okay, so I want to talk about forgiveness. Obviously, that's our thing. That's our topic for the day. But interestingly, as I was getting the show together, a couple things happened today that I really, actually one main thing happened today. And if you don't know about it, if you've taken yourself off social media, which really is a smart thing to do, you might know about the situation with Roseanne Barr, okay, and about how she said some things today, and she had put a quote in, she put a tweet, she did a tweet that compared this lady, this black woman to an ape, right? And that's just, it was in really poor taste, and a lot of people saw that as racist, and you know, it was what it was. And here's my thought process on that. I mean, it was all over the internet and all of that kind of stuff, but guess what? In keeping with the theme of the day, I just want to say, you know, what about if we forgive her? What about if we just forgive her? Really difficult to do, right? Because I was offended. Because I think there's enough racism going on in the world. We don't need anything else. We don't need anybody egging it on, right? So it was just really interesting. And then the whole thing, you know, the topic got on the First Amendment rights and all that kind of stuff. Really interesting conversations surrounding this, right? And I love hearing different opinions. I love that. I try not to let my emotions get ahead of me, you know, with it and everything, but it was really a fascinating day. And all I kept thinking about and I kept going back to was, what if we all forgave her? Everybody that's really mad at her, what about if we forgave her? Well, what would that be like? What would it be like to send love to her? God knows she probably needs it because she feels like crap, I'm sure. Well, let's hope she does, you know. I hope that, you know. So yeah, so let's just, let's imagine that. Let's just send the people that say things, and let's not like leave it to just Roseanne, right? Let's imagine that we love all of the people that do us wrong, right? What would that be? The act of forgiving, it kind of cleans the slate, it seems like, right? Oh, and by the way, I wanted to say, the phone lines are now open. If you'd like to call in for a reading, or if you want to be part of this conversation, or if you want to type in a comment or whatever, the question of the day for the comment, comment section on Facebook is, who is it, without giving the whole big story, who is it that you need to forgive? Who do you want to forgive? Who do you forgive? Is it yourself? Is it somebody that's done you wrong? What is it? So if you want to put that in the comments, I would love to see that. If you want to call in and tell me and talk to me about it, I would love that too. So at any rate, yeah, so this is a really interesting conversation because, you know, it goes far beyond Roseanne, and it goes beyond, you know, if you're mad at our president, or if you're mad at other people, or if you're mad at the Congress or the Senate or whatever. And I try not to get too far into politics, but if you're mad at these people because they're doing something that you think is wrong, what about, even if like other people, even if different opposing people, like if, okay, so let's just say, and here I go getting into politics, and I don't mean to do that, but this is a great analogy, right? If you're a Republican and you think all the Democrats are wrong about something, what would happen if we sent them love? What would happen if we sent any Democrat that we knew that said something that we didn't appreciate or whatever? What would happen? Wow, what a thought. Love that, right? So, and I've said before on my, what I try really hard to do is I send our president love. I send our, the leader of North Korea love. I send all of our leaders love. I try so hard in my everyday life just to send the people that mean something to other people. I try so hard to send them love. That's so important, so important. And April says, unfortunately, sometimes we use terms that 50 years ago no one would think twice. Roseanne is known for her mouth. Why is today any different? How sad is that, right? How sad. Let's just send them love. Geez, I just, it's, and let me just like clean that slate off, right? And I want to tell you guys about a personal story for me. This is really kind of interesting. Okay, so I had this boyfriend, okay, years ago. Years ago. I had this boyfriend, and at the time I was super duper, super in love with this guy, right? If he had said, let's get married, I would have, which, wow. I mean, it was that kind of love, right? I just loved him so much. He did me wrong on so many levels, on several levels, okay? And, he knew it. He knows it to this day. He knows what he did, okay? But it took many years for me to get to the place where I could forgive him, right? So years go by, I finally am able to forgive him, which was great, right? Then, over the course of time, I start, I do this big thing where I forgive him and it feels great, and I feel like I've, I got rid of all that anger and upset and all of that stuff, right? I thought I'd gotten rid of it all. But then, over the course of the years, because this is a long time ago now, right? Over the course of the years, things started happening where I started remembering it again, and I started feeling that pain again. I'm like, oh my God, what? So I need to like forgive him again? Like over and over? But yeah, I need to forgive him over and over. But guess what? Here's the other part. I need to forgive myself for being like thinking about it again with those feelings. I need to forgive myself, right? It's such a huge weight can be lifted off your shoulders if you can forgive. I'm not saying it's easy. It's not. It is not. And some things you can forgive easily, more easily than other things. If it's a personal thing and it's something that happened to you, that might be a little bit more difficult than, say, forgiving Roseanne. I'm just saying, I mean, it's a different type of thing. Hi, Carrie. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining. Yeah, so really fascinating story. So, but at any rate, this is how it works. This is how we get peace in our lives. And here's like the other part to this story, right? If I had married this guy, okay, I absolutely never, obviously, I mean, there are different, I believe, different realities. There are different roads that we can go down. We can go down this road or we can go down that road. But what's interesting about this story is that if I had married him, I'm sure I would never have developed my gifts. Okay? I certainly wouldn't have had my amazing daughter, right? I am so blessed with my life. I am so blessed with who I am in my life. And it's amazing that it worked out that way. So that lends itself to the next part of it. Whereas, okay, so do things happen for a reason? I kind of believe that they do. Because if I had married this other man, I wouldn't have had my daughter. I may have had other kids. Would I have had my daughter? Who knows? I mean, the reality is, think that through, But it's just so fascinating, all of the what ifs, what ifs, what ifs. But guess what? Going through that exercise of looking at the what if, what if, what if, and the forgiveness of it all makes me realize how lucky I actually am. How amazing is that? So think that through. It starts out with a simple kind of forgiveness, act of forgiveness. It starts out with an act of forgiveness. And then it moves on to that feeling of peace. And then it moves on to the feeling of forgiving myself. And then you end up with peace. Oh my God. Now that is a really fast way to look at it, obviously, because it's like this and that and this and that. And I get that. That's really, really big. That's a big thing. And you know what? Sometimes it takes many years to go through those steps, right? But Do you want the peace, or do you want to sit in? Do you want to sit in, and as a term I used to say, sit in that upset? Do you want to sit in that upset, or do you want to see what can happen and how you can move forward and gain that peace? It does take a lot of work, and I know a lot of you are probably out there going, "Oh my God, really? I mean, I just don't believe it's possible, blah, blah, blah." But I think it can be. It can be if we choose for it to be. Okay, you have to want it. You have to really, really want it. I think you have to want the peace. You have to want the you have to want the peace. Okay, and you got to do a lot of work, and it does take a lot of work. I've done many years of a lot of self-help, all that kind of stuff, right? So, and and I've had a group of girls that have been with me all the way through. I mean. So you have to have the right people in your life. You have to do all that. So it's really kind of cool. So here's the other point, I believe that I went through all of these situations in my life to get me exactly to this point. Exactly to this point. The good stuff and the bad stuff. I wouldn't be doing this show right now had I not been a singer and a performer in my early years. Let's just say my early years. I used to perform in front of thousands and thousands of people at a show. And I can do that. I can get up, and I'm not scared to speak my mind, obviously, right? I'm not scared to speak my mind of anything, right? And that's why I can do this. But I've learned over the years that getting over the fear of it, getting over myself, forgiving myself. Again, it always goes back to forgiveness. It always goes back to forgiveness. So, really interesting, right? All of these things that have happened throughout all of our lives. Like, what can you guys tell me that has happened in your life that if that hadn't happened and if that hadn't happened, then you wouldn't be at the job you are today, or with the partner that you're with, or with whatever. It's all a stepping stone, and I'm just going to say this, and I hope you guys know me well enough to know that I'm not like sort of being self-aggrandizing. Boy, there's a word. But I have really done a lot of readings where people have found true comfort and true peace. And you know what? I wouldn't trade that for a minute. I would not trade that for 1 minute. I wouldn't trade all of the heartache that I've been through, all of the negative people that I've had in my life, all of the scary times, all of the good times. I wouldn't trade any of that. Because these, I've had some really, really great situations where people have been able to find peace because of what I'm talking about, and a reading that I've given, or their connection with their loved one, right? I mean, that's why I do what I do. I love it. obviously, I just love it, right? So I want to give the quote for the day, and then I'm going to get into a couple of questions that I have gotten recently that I thought were really cool that you guys might find fascinating. So if you have any questions, you can post a comment online. Feel free to do so. So this first quote is by Oprah, who I just love, right? Who doesn't love Oprah? Not sure I want her to be president, but we'll see. We'll see. You never know, right? Okay. So this quote it just is right in speaking with the whole theme of today. So her quote is this: "True forgiveness is when you can say, thank you for the experience." Right? That's true forgiveness. That old boyfriend that I have, thank you for the experience, because if I hadn't had that experience, that experience of falling in love for the first time, oh my God, it's so beautiful, it's such a wonderful experience, and thank you for that. Isn't that great? I love that. That is so fantastic. And then there's a Martin Luther King Jr. Quote that I want to say: "Forgiveness is not an occasional act. It is a constant attitude. A constant attitude. We have to stay in that place of forgiveness. That is so, so true. Continually. Because if we can do that, that is when we find the true peace, right? And so Eric says, deciding to leave home, move to PA, move to New York City, the definitive turning point, and it was far from easy, and there was help along the way. And that's the thing. You will find the help along the way. Thank you for sharing that, Eric. I appreciate it. You will find the help along the way. You know? If you can just move forward and move forward and move forward, stay in that. Right? Stay in that. Stay in the place of forgiveness. And it's hard. Like I said, I'm sitting here talking, and I have an hour show a week, and I'm spending an hour talking about forgiveness and other things. Actually, I've only spent like almost 40 minutes talking about it, and trying to explain to you guys the sort of the steps that I've taken over the years. But it's far more work than that, right? And you guys can attest to it. Like Eric says, deciding to leave home, move to PA, move to, I mean, that's a lot of stuff to do that you have to do, right? So, so what a great conversation this is. I just absolutely love it. If we can find ourselves being in a place of forgiving ourselves and others, I think this world would be so much more peaceful, like all together, Imagine if everybody just forgave Roseanne for everything. Can you imagine? What would this world be like? What would happen as a result? I mean, I hate to say it this way. I don't think it's going to happen, obviously. But, wow. This is me, and this is my pie in the sky. The way I try to talk pie in the sky. And you guys will laugh because I'm so into the what ifs of forgiveness and getting over fear and all of that kind of stuff. And I know, and you guys that know me that are watching this, know that I can be rather naive because I don't understand why this can't happen. I don't understand why we can't just be forgiving. I don't understand why we can't just just get over it. I don't understand that. I don't understand why we can't just love freely. I don't understand why we can't just love who we want to love. I don't understand. I mean, so yeah, I'm a little naive. People call me naive. I think that's who I am. I'm about being happy and about being love. So that's my whole thing. So there. Yeah, and I could go on and on and on, and obviously, but I wanted to tell you guys a couple stories and go over a question that I had. Oh, by the way, the phone lines are open if you want to call. The phone number is area code 818-835-5885, and if you want to call in for a reading, or if you want to take part in this conversation, I would love that. So at any rate, I got a question the last couple of weeks, and I wanted to share it with you guys because it's a whole discussion in and of itself. Actually, it's a whole discussion in and of itself. So somebody asked me the other day, what happens? Like, I'm gonna know. I wouldn't know, but I know. Well, okay. Let me just ask the question. I don't know why I'm talking like this. What happens when we die? What happens when somebody dies? So here's the deal. I don't know, number one, for sure, okay? Mediums know stuff, but we don't know everything, okay? I will just say, we don't know everything, but I can share with you what spirits have told me over the years, okay? Spirits have told me their own, and I believe that every circumstance is different. I believe that every spirit being, I believe that everything that happens is completely different than the next thing, right? But I will tell you this. I have been told that when you die, first of all, leading up to the death, this is what I've been told. I don't know it to be true, but I love the thoughts here, so I'm just going to share it. First of all, before you are ready to cross, it's between you and God. So you need to make some sort of peace with God. And I know that sounds crazy, because when you think of all the different ways that people die, it could be an accident, it could be a heart attack, it could be a long a long disease, it could be many, many, many different things, right? But your psyche, your soul is making peace with God during that time, before up until you actually take your last breath. Okay, so your soul is making peace with God, and that's just what and they have told me this, and I believe that makes a lot of sense to me. Okay, then once you go into the death thing, and you Esther Hicks likes to call it croak. I just love that. I love her so much. If you're not familiar with Esther Hicks and Abraham, she's like freaking awesome. But she calls it croaking, so I'll just use that for these terms right now. So when you croak, those people that are on the other side that you are close with, that you really would need, they know who you need when you need them. Okay, just like when somebody gets a mediumship reading here, and they know who you need to hear from. So you may want to hear from your father, but your mother comes through. You're disappointed, but guess what? You needed the message from your mother that time instead of your father. Do you understand what I'm saying? So they know who needs to be there, and then there you are. Okay, and your loved ones carry you over the threshold, over the bridge, so to speak, And then, from what I've been told from different spirits, is that you go through the life review, and you look at all the different things that you've taken care of, that you've done throughout your life, good and bad, things you didn't finish. I mean, it's not just good and bad stuff. I think it's, from what I understand, it's not just good and bad stuff. It's like things you didn't finish, things you should have said, things you didn't say, things you said you shouldn't have said, all of that stuff. So you just it's sort of like that life review. And then I believe, from what I understand, what happens is that then you can progress at your own, you can progress after you go on the other side, and you can keep going, and you can keep learning different things. Now that part I don't know that much about. I know other mediums who talk a lot about that stuff, but it's just not something that I have had an experience with. So every medium is different, and I've told you guys this before, so that's that. Okay, so Eric then says, and he thought that it was and did not realize how much of an ally youth was. Oh, so true, so true. Then 30 years later, he wound up moving to Los Angeles, which took resiliency. He'd forgotten I'd even had. Oh. You are so right about cycling forward. Yeah, we have to. We have to move forward, right? Thank you for sharing that, Eric. That's really, really profound. You have to have the resiliency, and how are you going to get that? Forgiveness, right? How are you going to have that? So really cool. So thank you for that, Eric. And yeah, so what a great question. Getting back to the question of what happens when you die. How amazing is that? And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if part of that is, did you forgive? Did you not forgive? Should you have forgiven? Should you not have forgiven? I can't imagine ever a time, here's the little naivete, Lori talking again, but the pie in the sky, Lori, I shouldn't say naivete, but I don't think there's ever a time where forgiveness isn't an option, It might not be for you at this time, and that's fine. That's absolutely fine. But I think that if you want peace in your life, it could always be on the table. It could always be on the table. So isn't that great? So what a great thing. So you know what would be fun is I should have one of the mediums that I've talked to about this before in the past on, so that we can talk this through and see what they know, because you know, when we're giving readings and we're talking with spirits, you know, people on the other side, they tell us all kinds of different stuff, you know. This one guy, I think I've told you guys this before, but this one guy, he had only been crossed over for like a day, and he had been a professor in human form, right? So he stood up and he's like giving his daughter and I like this lesson. And I mean, I had this whole visual of him standing there. I probably told that story before, but it was so profound. What that to me was a hugely profound experience because of the fact that he taught us what it was like on the other side, about the love, about the amazing, unbelievable love. He even said, and I've said this before, and I love this, so I'm going to say it again. People that oh my God, what was I just going to say? We think we know what love is, right? We think we understand what it could be. We think we felt it. Maybe we haven't, but we think we understand it, right? What he said is that we don't even have any clue truly what love is. We don't have any idea truly what love is because it's so unspoken, and it's something that we've never experienced here down on earth. Isn't that amazing? Like, I can't wait to experience that, you know? I'll come down and I'll do a show. After I pass on, I'll come back and I'll do a show for you. That would be weird, right? So whatever. Anyway, okay, so that was the one question that I had. Another question that I actually had that I thought was really kind of fascinating was somebody said to me, I saw in my hallway, I saw a spirit moving. I saw something moving. Does that mean I'm psychic? And I said, oh, no, not necessarily. It could be, but it might not be. You kind of gotta, if, you know, I think what it mostly means is that you're open. You're open to the what ifs, the possibilities, okay? So that's what that is about. And, you know, if you want to explore it, you can. And if you want not to, you can not as well. I remember the day, specifically, I had a day and it said, do you want to move forward and explore this world, or do you not? You need to choose. And I remember that day, and I was like, well, wait, give me some time. So, you know what? I said, okay, I'm taking this on because I want to, you know, I want to be a beacon for people, you know. I want to be a beacon of happiness for other people because that's kind of who I am. I prefer to be happy. So there you go. So yeah, really interesting conversations to be had, right? And you know what? It's so fascinating because even these, you know, and I didn't mean for these questions to be about forgiveness, but they all seem to be about forgiveness. It all comes into play because that's who we are, right? If you want to develop your spiritual gifts that you have or you think you have, then you need to forgive yourself and forgive others so that you have a clear spiritual pathway, right? Because you want to, if you want to move forward in this, you can. But you need to have that clear, you know, the more clear of a spiritual pathway that you can have, the better. I believe. You can have, I know many mediums that are not spiritual at all. Okay? And so I'm not saying that this is the way it is, but, you know, for quite a long time, I have felt like that for me anyway, I could never do this I could never do what I do without the spirituality part. That's just who I am. That's just who I am. You know, because I try really hard to take self out of it. And, you know, again, like Martin Luther King Jr. said, you know, it's a continual thing. You got to continue to forgive yourself all the time. Continue to forgive yourself and, you know, move forward. So pretty intense conversation, and I know because I can tell out there that there are those of you out there that have a real hard time with this conversation, because and you feel like that I'm making it sound really simple, and it's, it is a simple concept, but I think that there's a lot that we need to do in our lives in order to really have that forgiveness and continue that on, and continue on our lives. So that's how I feel about that. And if you want to talk to me further, if you have questions, or if you want when I give readings, it doesn't necessarily have to be about here. I mean, it can be. It's your time to talk to me. However you want to utilize that time is your prerogative. So if you ever want a session with me and you don't want to necessarily a reading or to hear from your loved ones in spirit, we can talk about any of this stuff. Right? So, and I do private readings all the time. So obviously, and I know I don't, a friend of mine, I think I said this last week, but a friend of mine said, why don't you ever tell people that you do private readings? And I said, well, because I don't want people to feel like I'm trying to sell them something, because that's not what this show is supposed to be about. However, I do actually want you guys to know that I'm there if you need it. Okay? I'm there for you if you need something. So, I really feel strongly about that. So there you go. Okay, so, all right, so I'm going to give you one last, okay, this is I used to do a thing on my radio show, I called it Silly Spirit Story, okay? And before I wrap up for today, I want to tell you guys about a silly spirit story that happened to me. Actually, it happened to a friend of mine, and so, full disclosure, it happened to a friend of mine. This girl used to go on, ghost hunting and that sort of thing. Oh, thank you, Carrie. I appreciate that. But this lady used to do ghost hunting and that sort of thing. And she went into this house one time, and she went into the basement of this house. Now this basement, and I don't know exactly where this was, but it was like a multi-story house. Okay, so she went into this basement, and there was this door that would go to the outside, but it was a very minimally used door. Okay, and she had equipment, like a camera with her, and that was really cool, right? So that she could see stuff, right? So that just in case anything happened, it would be on tape, right? Well, this one time she got the video of this in this haunted house, that had a lot of spirit activity. And so she went downstairs, and somebody was filming, and they were walking over to the door, and you could see the door handle going like this. Like the door handle was opening. I mean, that was absolutely amazing. And you could see the video, and it was really, really, really cool. That was extraordinary, because normally you don't get stuff like that on tape. I mean, if you guys have ever looked into ghost hunters and all that kind of stuff, normally if a place is haunted, most of the time you don't get stuff on tape at all, right? But she got the handle going down, and it was amazing. And she was I think she was a little freaked out, but she wasn't allowing herself to be freaked out. So she handled it really, really well. I thought that was really cool. So yeah, it was really an interesting thing. So you know what? You never know what's going to happen. I would love to go on a ghost hunting thing. We did when we went to Sedona one time, and we went to this hotel, and I can't think of where it was. It was in this town. It was in this town by Sedona. Yeah, I can't remember the name of the town. But at any rate, there was this hotel that was haunted and stuff. And my camera, we went on the thing, and my camera kept screwing up. And I was, trying not to be open, but I was open, and so all this stuff was happening. It was crazy. So it was called Jordan or Jericho. No, it wasn't Jericho, but whatever. Anyway, I'll try to remember the name of that town and the thing. So yeah, so it was really cool. Anyway, so thank you for joining tonight. I appreciate you guys being with me tonight. It was super fun getting to talk about all this stuff and super fun interacting with you guys online. Oh, Kathy just joined. Hi, Kathy. Thanks for joining. I'm sorry, but I'm cutting out. So yeah, thanks so much for joining. Please feel free to go back to my YouTube channel, which is Lori Albert, A Happy Medium. And you can go back through and do the meditations over and over again if you'd like, and so that's great, right? I do private readings. If you'd like to get in touch with me, you can always go to my website, lorialbert.com. Very easy to remember. And yeah, and I'm on Instagram at Lori Albert, A Happy Medium. Yes, I know that's long, but Lori Albert, A Happy Medium. So that's my Instagram name, and yeah, so it's a lot of fun. And thank you for indulging me. And until next week, everybody, stay happy and take care. Have a great week. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Spiritually Speaking with Lori Albert.